In the wake of yesterday's car ramming attack, which injured 3 IDF soldiers in the West Bank, Knesset member Hanin Zoabi of the Joint Arab List took time again to tweet her solidarity with the Palestinian attacker and not his victims. Zoabi is no stranger to controversial actions and statements like these, though, as in the past she was even aboard the now infamous 2010 Mavi Marmara flotilla, and her actions and those of her colleagues have again then begged the question, what other country would tolerate speech and actions like these? Well, here with more is Davidi Hermelin, the president of the International Center for Public Diplomacy in Israel, with more. Davidi, thank you so much for joining us again.
Hello.
Okay, so again, her tweet was really towards Meretz, which is another party in the opposition, and she said that, we don't want your solidarity because this true solidarity includes solidarity with the way a victim performs their protest or their demonstration. So she's talking about the Palestinians here. Do you agree with that premise?
Of course not, because this is a direct way to anarchy. Let's say that I disagree with you about a certain topic. So does it mean that I can do anything I want to convince? So this is basically acceptance of the method of terror as legitimate way to influence politics. And I think that this is so pure support of terror as method that now we already can justify that even the Supreme Court will support the voices who I assume will call soon to suspend the MK Hanin Zoabi from Knesset, and for sure not to let her to be candidate again, because we are defended democracy, which means that in our law, if you support racism or terror, or if you oppose the declaration of Israel as Jewish and democratic state, so you have no right to be a candidate. The committee of the elections in Israel said before that Hanin Zoabi crossed the line, and the Supreme Court said this is
But again, this goes back to what I said earlier. All the way back to 2010, she was on the Mavi Marmara, and she's had made several statements. She's visited with terrorists and their families, in prisons, and she's spoken in international forums. So at what point? Why is this the line?
No, I think that she crossed the line. Just to make it clear, I think that she already before supported terror actively.
So what's different? So what's going to change? Why are you more hopeful, or why do you think that there's a bigger chance now that she'll lose?
I'll tell you why. Because before her expression was to support a specific action. She demonstrated empathy. Now she said that any expression of the so-called Palestinian frustration, even if it's by terror, it's okay. So she justified terror as method, as tool to influence politics, loud and clear. So now I think that even the tolerant Supreme Court of Israel should not let her to be a candidate again, and because now there is no doubt, it's not gray anymore. It's loud and clear. I think terror is legitimate, and they support terrorism against Israeli civilians.
Why do you think other parties within the left or within the opposition are reluctant to condemn, certain parts of speech that Hanin Zoabi and other colleagues of hers have made?
I think that also still in the lines of Zionism, but just on the border, some of the extreme, still I would say Zionist left in Israel, they sometimes forget the difference between opposition to the government and its policy and opposition to the state. And in the progressive left of today, we can see some doubts about the legitimacy of the concept of a nation state. And sometimes the hate is against Israel as an entity and not against a policy. And I think that this radicalism of the extreme left, now you can see this even in other topics. For example, in votes in Knesset, when they don't want to balance the vote while other members cannot vote. Tragedy of the left in Israel, I think.
All right, Davidi Hermelin, thank you so much for coming in again.
Thank you.